Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's interview with Cheryl, a trainer and an author, to talk about well-being. Cheryl has worked in ELT for 30 years, and she's been a teacher and a teacher trainer all over the world. She's been also a senior editor in the Spanish primary group at Oxford University Press, and she's now a freelance author and has written for various OUP primary courses, the most recent being World Class and Open Up. And she's also a teacher trainer and regularly presents webinars for OUP Spain. Hello, Cheryl, how are you?
Hello, Monse, I'm very well, thank you.
It's great to have you here.
It's great to be here.
That's great. Well, Cheryl, you've been busy writing for a lot of primary ELT materials with a strong focus on student well-being. Can you tell us why you feel well-being is an important part of primary teaching?
Okay, well, yes, I have been very busy. Well, we all know, don't we, that the early years of childhood are formative years in which children develop very quickly, not just physically, but also intellectually, socially, and emotionally. We know that what happens in these years is very likely to have an impact on their mental health, their achievements, their relationships with others, and their general happiness in the future. And this is why for a long time now, educating the whole child in primary school has been quite normal practice, hasn't it? Mm-hmm. So I see wellbeing training as being part of this. It's also about nurturing the whole child. Mm-hmm. The Oxford English Dictionary defines well-being as the state of being comfortable, healthy, or happy. And when we think about this definition, I think it seems immediately clear that these conditions are necessary for a child to be able to learn to the best of their ability.
I see. And what does well-being training involve then?
Oh, I think this is a really important question because I've noticed people sometimes think that well-being and mindfulness mean exactly the same thing, when in fact mindfulness is only one aspect of well-being, and there are other important aspects too. In the last few years, particularly during the pandemic, we've been given some very consistent advice from wellbeing experts as well as general healthcare professionals to promote wellbeing. And the same 5 tips have appeared in many places, sometimes with slightly different wording, but very consistent advice. And these are: connect with others, be physically active, learn something new or learn a new skill, give to others, and pay attention to the present moment, or mindfulness.
That's interesting. And how easily can these aspects of well-being be integrated into primary English language teaching?
Well, firstly, I think many of the things which primary teachers do in their everyday teaching can easily be adapted to promote student well-being, and probably teachers are doing a lot of things which are related to well-being anyway, you know, just checking in with children, especially when teaching online, for example, just checking in with how children are feeling is important. But in terms of actually integrating well-being with general English teaching, Oxford University Press has kind of actually already done this for teachers in the new primary course Open Up, which I co-wrote recently. And what we've done in Open Up is to slightly adapt those 5 recommendations for wellbeing, which I've just mentioned, to create 5 ways to wellbeing which are appropriate for primary English language teaching. So these 5 ways to wellbeing form the basis of a whole wellbeing strand in lots of components across Open Up. So one of these ways to wellbeing is connect, and this is of course, very relevant to English language teaching, because the only reason we learn languages is to be able to communicate with others.
Yeah.
And the only reason for communicating with others is, of course, to reach out and connect with other people. And one of the ways that the Open Up course aims to help children build a strong sense of connection is by encouraging them to express their feelings, to help them to develop an understanding of the value of both giving and receiving emotional support, for example. Another of the ways to well-being in Open Up is take part. So I've already said that being physically active is one of the 5 recommendations of health and well-being experts. And of course, movement and physical activity definitely have a place in the young learner classroom. And there are plenty of opportunities to do this in Open Up. But the idea of being active can also be understood to mean participating in any activity, whether that's physical or not. And so we've chosen to centre on this interpretation in order to be inclusive of children with different physical abilities, and also so that we can highlight some important aspects of the social and emotional development of primary children. For example, the importance of doing what you can, in the sense that you are enough exactly as you are, for example. And also the idea that effort is valued as much as, if not more than, level of ability. A third way to well-being is keep learning. And learning a new skill is often recommended as a means to improving mental well-being. And one of the reasons for this is because acquiring a new skill can have the effect of boosting self-confidence and increasing self-esteem. And as primary teachers, we know just how wonderful it is to see the joy that children get from achieving something, don't we? It's fantastic to see that. But it's also important, though, that we show children that it's okay when learning something new isn't easy. They need to know that anything we want to learn takes effort and patience and resilience and self-acceptance. So this way to well-being in Open Up is influenced by Dr. Carol Dweck's theory of growth mindset. This is something which I've spoken about a number of times in webinars for OUP. And another of the ways to well-being is care, and this one is based on the advice to give to others to improve mental well-being. And of course, giving to others, of course, benefits other people, but it also helps us feel good about ourselves too. And so on the most basic level then, for example, the course emphasises the importance of children sharing and helping classmates. But also self-care is important. Self-compassion is important. So this is included. And we can also, of course, extend the care that we give from those closest to us to the local community and then to the wider world as well. So we've also included in the course a focus on care for the environment as part of this way to well-being, encouraging students to recognise the steps that we can all take to protect and look after our planet.
Yeah, and so important.
It's very important. It's very important. Yeah, so we've included that too. And lastly, the take notice is also a way to well-being in Open Up. And so taking notice or paying more attention to the present moment is believed to promote well-being. Some people call this mindfulness. And this is probably, as I've already said, one of the aspects most commonly associated with well-being. What's important here, I think, is that when we stop to notice what's happening around us, or our body sensations, or perhaps our breath, we slow down for a moment. And the more we practice being in this moment, the easier we might find it to slow down and feel calm, you know, when we most need to.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also in some ways linked to the global skill of emotional self-regulation. And this can be of particular relevance for early years teaching, when children are needing to develop emotional self-regulation, like learning to develop strategies to cope with tricky emotions, with difficult emotions, for example, which we all have, and learning to calm themselves when they feel upset or angry, for example. And another new course which I've co-authored recently has global skills at its core, including the global skills cluster, emotional self-regulation and well-being. And this is a high-level primary course called World Class.
Well, Cheryl, everything you said is learning for life, I guess. So I'm sure it will be really, really useful for teachers in the class and obviously for students, which is our final goal. And what has your personal experience of writing these well-being focused materials been?
Well, I mean, I think I feel lucky really, because it's always a pleasure and of course a privilege to be able to write about something that you feel really passionate about. So I think for me, some of the most enjoyable things have been writing the stories for World Class Level 1, for example. And often these stories have an aspect of well-being themselves. But I particularly liked writing the follow-up to the stories, which is a little feature called Think, Feel, Grow. And this highlights the global skills that I've mentioned. And I also loved writing the Wellbeing Journals for the 6 levels of Open Up, because they were great fun. These journals integrate language review and themes from the class book units, and integrate them with specific aspects of well-being. So it was very challenging at times, but it was really, really good fun.
Well, sounds good. Really looking forward to knowing more about Open Up and World Class. And thank you very much for being here. Cheryl Palin, we are very happy. We've been really happy to have you here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Monty. It's been lovely to talk to you.